Hi, hello, namaste. Welcome back to Needs of Children. In the previous session, we are get the information about 9th standard political science chapter number 1, our constitution, the very important topics like preamble to the constitution, the important elements contained in the preamble of the constitution and the main factors of preamble to the constitution. So, in this session we are going to get more information, the continued part of our constitution. Let's come to we are going to get today the salient features of our Indian constitution. Okay, what are the very important salient features of our Indian constitution? So, one by one in detail we are going to get the salient features of our Indian constitution. Among that, the first one, written and lengthy constitution. So, what it mean and why it is called as written and lengthy constitution? Indian constitution is called as the written and lengthy constitution. Why it is so? Our constitution is in written form. The powers and functions of the organs of the government like legislature, executive and judiciary have been delineated in the constitution. Fundamental rights, fundamental duties, directive principles of state policy, etc. all are in written form. Originally, our constitution consisted of 22 chapters, 8 schedules and 395 articles. Many amendments, it has become a lengthy constitution with 25 chapter, 12 schedules and 465 articles. And the second one, partially flexible and partially rigid constitution. The constitution which can be easily amended is called flexible or simple constitution. Constitution that have a special procedures for the amendment are called rigid or complicated constitutions. Our Indian constitution neither too flexible nor too rigid, so that our Indian constitution is called as partially flexible and partially rigid constitution. And the third one, parliamentary form of government. Our constitution provides for a parliamentary form of government. The sovereign power of the nation is vested in the elected parliament. The executive is responsible to the legislature at the central as well as state levels. The cabinet shall be in power as long as it enjoys the confidence of the legislature. As soon as it loses the confidence of the legislature, it has to resign. So, that is the concept of parliamentary form of government. And the next, fourth one, republican system. The constitution has declared India is a republican country. So, the head of the country is indirectly elected by the citizens. In India, the president is the constitutional head of the state and is elected. So, that is we used to call it as republican system. Our Indian constitution is called as republican system. And the next, fifth one, federal system. Our constitution provides for a federal system of government because of our country consists of different languages, castes, races and geographical regions. Administrative powers are shared by the central and state governments. The central list has 100 subjects, the state list it has 61 subjects and concurrent list it has 52 subjects. That means the subjects which will responsible for the central government. Like for example, Indian Post Office. Throughout the part of country, wherever the post office is established, it is under the control of the central government. And when it comes to the state subject, and one more example for railway department, wherever the rail travels, that is under the control of the central government. So such kind of subjects we used to called as or will come under the central list. State subjects, Karnataka State Police, they are under the control of the Karnataka government. KSRTC, but now the name it is has taken by Kerala state, so that KSRTC buses, it is maintenance and responsible under the control of the state government. Such kind of subjects will come under the state governments. So both the responsibility, like concurrent list, it is the responsibility of central as well as state. Like health issues, it is the responsibility of both central as well as state. Now corona, the pandemic situation, it is faced by both the central as well as state governments. So such kind of subjects will consider as the concurrent list. The Supreme Court possesses powers to solve all the disputes rising between the center and the state with respect to any subject. So this is we used to call as the federal system we are adapted in our constitution. And the next sixth one, fundamental rights. The rights that the constitution has given to the people are called fundamental rights. No law of any government, central or state, or any organization can deny these rights. If the fundamental rights are taken away or endangered, the citizen can directly appeal to the High Court or Supreme Court. So these rights are listed in the third part of our Indian Constitution. And the next seventh, fundamental duties. Duties are our responsibilities towards our country. There are 11 fundamental duties have been delineated in the A part of the fourth chapter under the clause 51A of our Constitution. Through the 86th amendment to the Constitution in 2002, it has been made a duty of parents to provide compulsory education to their children aged between 6 to 14 years. This is the 11th duty mentioned in the Constitution. And the next, 8th one, directive principles of state policy. Directive principles of state policy have been incorporated in the 4th schedule of our Constitution. These principles have been adapted from the Irish Constitution. They are the basis for the establishment of social and economic equality. They are the basic principles required for the administration of the country. Yet, the government cannot be questioned by a court of justice if it does not implement them. When the government frames new laws, it should pay attention to these principles. And the next ninth one, independent and centralized judiciary system. Our judiciary is independent and centralized. The courts have the authority to give bold judgments in order to protect the rights of people. Neither the legislature nor the executive has the right to interfere with the working of the judiciary. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land, and all the high courts and subordinate courts function under the Supreme Court. And the next 10th one, single citizenship. The Constitution makes provision for single citizenship in order to curb narrow-minded provincialism and promote nationalism. The citizens of this country have the same rights, irrespective of their place of birth or residence. The legislature possesses the power to frame rules in this matter. And the 11th one, adult franchise. The Constitution provides for the adult franchise. All citizens above the 18 years of age may exercise their right to vote. It symbolizes the sovereign absolute power of the people. And the next, bicameral legislature. The central legislature is called Parliament. The Parliament consists of two houses. The lower house called as Lok Sabha and the upper house called as Rajya Sabha. And the next, at last, party system. The last salient features of our Indian Constitution, party system. Political parties are the pillars of a democracy. There is a multi-party system in India. The party which wins the majority of votes in the general election becomes the ruling party, whereas the rest will be the opposition parties. So these are 13 salient features of our Indian Constitution. Even we can call it as a characteristics of our Indian Constitution. I hope so these are all the characteristics of our Indian Constitution you have understood. And I will come back with the next topic of our Indian Constitution, that is with fundamental rights. Until, keep watching my channel. Thank you. Have a nice day. See you in the next video.